Thank you, YouTube. Shalom. I'm learning. Yeah, there's somewhere. I hope to see my friends here. All my friends who have channel in YouTube, and I don't see them live now. They disappeared, shut each other. And I have something to tell you. All of you, get over about your ego. I've got got something to tell you. I want to see you, all of you. All of you. You know who I'm talking about. All the channel. All this channel, you know. So much happened lately. I've got something to tell you, very, very important. Please get over about your ego. Yeah, I have this metronome. I put it. Let me see. I have another guitar. See? So yeah, I've got something to tell you, all of you, my friends. Music, it's a great way to bring us together. Not blah, 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 blah. Music, 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 but the ego, we have problem with the ego. Yeah, I need my metronome for my guitar. I don't know where I put this. See, let me see. Yeah, it's here somewhere. I'm going to find this. I'm going to find this later. Hey Ricardo, good to see you. Good to see you. So I like to start with something that I find this is really, really important. Lately, many things happen, and people in the channel, they, you know, it's not people, you know, it's us. It's us. Blame each other, and really, it's like shooting each other, and in the end, many, many lovely friends shut themselves down. You see, bang, bang, we all down. And really, it's a shame because most of them are great musician, but the ego don't allow them to create music. So they blah, 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 blah. And when you blah, 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 this is fire. This is fire all day sitting, blah, 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 blah. And, you know, you take a group of, you know, brothers and sisters together, and everyone's got his ego. Everyone want to talk and no, I'm right, you're, you know, all this. And in the end, what is important is that because of this ego, all this channel down, and it's not good for us because we must stay together. I'd like you to listen a few minutes to something that my English is not rich enough to say it like this. So let's hear this. I tell you his name. His name is Tolle, Tolle, Heckard. This is the channel. So let's hear a few minutes of what he's got to tell us, all of us. Remind us, okay? Yeah.
Let's start with that again. The silence is something deeper than auditory. The auditory is only the first entry point. The auditory dimension, sensory perception. Silence is usually related to the auditory perception, to hearing. But that's not really what we're talking about.
Please.
The silence that is here, there's more to it than the absence of noise.
Let's start.
And it's not out there, it's all in here, or rather.
All of you, please listen. You know who I'm talking about. All of you who shot each other lately, all of you, listen to this, please. Get over about your ego and listen to this.
We'll start with that again. The silence is something deeper than auditory. The auditory is only the first entry point. The auditory dimension, sensory perception. Silence is usually related to the auditory perception, to hearing. But that's not really what we're talking about. The silence that is here, there's more to it than the absence of noise. And it's not out there, it's all in here, or rather, within and without our single thing. As the Course in Miracles says somewhere, there is nothing outside of you. This entire experience of this gathering,
there is nothing outside of you. Listen to this, all of you. I don't want to say your name. You know who I'm talking to. All of you who shot each other lately, listen to this.
This room, the people in this room, obviously, it's all happening inside of you.
Within.
Don't start to think about it. Is this right? It can't be right. say, yes, the universe, everything, you know it is known inside of you. When you look at the stars in the middle of the night, or the starry sky, you experience it inside of you. Every human being you encounter, you experience it inside of you. You don't even know if there's anything out there. You don't even know whether an out there even exists. It could be a delusion that there is something out there. Maybe there is no out to the universe. Maybe there is no out to you. Maybe it's all in. I say maybe just not to lose some of you by making statements that seem too much out there. So these are little pointers for you to consider, not so much consider by starting to think about it, but just saying, really what it means in your own experience, is it true? Because otherwise, I'll give you some mental stuff and say, you must believe me, or you better believe it, or you feel better if you believe it. I would suggest, but only you can know it, that it is obvious that everything is experienced within you, and that we can assume that there is such a thing as an external universe, but we may be wrong. We could also consider the possibility that there's no such thing as external, and that everything happens within the consciousness that you are, a play of consciousness. Everything. A little bit like a much infinitely more complex phenomenon than a movie in the cinema. So a movie would be a distant analogy to what's going on, something infinitely more complex. The universe is experiencing through countless seemingly separate, autonomous, and independent entities or life forms. The universe is experiencing itself. It was the spiritual teacher, I believe, Alan Watts, who said once, you are something that the universe is doing in the same way that a wave is something that the whole ocean is doing. You are something that the whole universe is doing in the same way that a wave is something that the whole ocean is doing. Oh. So I'm actually the universe doing something. Oh, that's interesting. But if it just stays up there, then it doesn't take you anywhere. but if you use it as a pointer to point you deeper within yourself, and to be able to do that, your mind needs to become still for a moment. So we come back to the stillness. Your mind needs to become still for a moment. And as it becomes still, and as you know it becomes still, the moment you listen to the silence that seems to be out there, but is really inside you, right now, the mind becomes still. Because you're listening to the silence. So the entry point is the auditory dimension. In this particular case, we use it as a doorway into a deeper dimension. It's the stillness that we're talking about. When you say stillness, I'm not referring to something deeper than the absence of noise that is seemingly out there. So the stillness, the mind becomes still, no? And in that stillness, you can sense there is an unknown and in a way unknowable dimension to who you are. A depth to who you are, but you can't know anything about it, or that is the source of all knowing in itself. It's nothing to do with any kind of conceptual knowing. Know thyself, the famous dictum that comes from ancient Greece. Know thyself as the most important teaching, the most important thing for a human being to realize is to know yourself.
Absolutely.
But that is often misunderstood. It has two dimensions. Normally, when people talk about knowing yourself, they're only talking about the superficial dimension of knowing yourself, which is becoming aware of your own patterns, your reactive patterns, your thoughts, your emotions. And as you may have noticed, it's easier to recognize the unconscious patterns in somebody other than you than in you. When a person becomes identified with the pain body, becomes reactive, it's easy to say, oh yeah. You can, even in your partner, you can sometimes say, oh, he or she is becoming completely unconscious again. And there's not much you can do except stay present within yourself, because if you accuse an unconscious person of being unconscious, it's not going to work. Because something will speak back to you or at you, and it won't be nice. You say, me unconscious? Look at yourself. And then you get a whole long story about you. You cannot win an argument with an ego, or if you're about to win, as a last resort, the ego will physically attack you, and you still can't win. You get knocked over the head. Know yourself, know thyself, self-knowledge, being aware of the conditioning of your mind, being aware of your pain body, being aware of the habitual thought patterns that you think is you, but when you're aware of it, you begin to know it. It's one important level of knowing yourself is to recognizing your conditioning. In the moment, it happens. That would be best. Initially, perhaps retrospectively, after you've just gone through some kind of ego upset, and you suddenly like, oh, what was that? That was the ego, that was the penguin again, okay. But if you can know yourself in the middle of it, that's even better. That's one dimension of knowing yourself, is also the dimension that is explored in psychotherapy and psychoanalysis and so on, when you start looking within and see, what do you feel right now? What are your thoughts right now? Or when this happened, what did you feel? And so you become more conscious. It's a wonderful thing. Psychotherapy is extremely helpful. There is, however, a deeper level to knowing yourself. But whether we even want to call it knowing yourself is debatable, because you have to go deeper within yourself where you can sense the underlying consciousness that's behind it all and in it all. And there you cannot break it down into bits of knowledge. It's almost as if you were then going into that which is unknown and unknowable through any kind of concept. So you have to, for that deeper level of knowing yourself, you relinquish any attempt to understand. In psychotherapy, you're still trying to understand yourself, and that has its place. Because not understanding yourself can be a huge barrier to going to the deeper level of knowing yourself. Understanding yourself is understanding certain patterns and so on. But at some point, even that, so while it is helpful and useful for quite some time, at some point, if you go on trying to understand yourself for decades, then you get trapped on that level of just, and then all you do is you create more complexity to who you are. What really happened when I was 2 years old? And I'm trying to remember, oh yes, I broke that cup and then I cried. That must be why I'm so unhappy now. And then my mother scolded me and I was screaming. That's why I'm exaggerating a little, because sometimes those things are necessary. This was a little bit of a parody of it, but sometimes these things are necessary to understand, because they can become a barrier to going deeper into yourself, to the deeper level of knowing yourself. So there is a place for that. And for some people, it is necessary for a while so that the unconsciousness does not become a barrier. But once you've explored certain things, you've seen the main barrier is identification, but ultimately the barrier is identification with thought and emotion, and that's thinking that's me. And gradually awareness arises as you start looking. Some therapies already encourage you to realize that you are not all the things that happen to you. You are the timeless awareness behind it all. And then it can emerge in the therapeutic process, and that would be a kind of spiritual psychotherapy, where the awareness is emphasized. And so and then you begin to go deeper into the awareness and realizing that you are the awareness, and the awareness itself is something that's beyond conceptual knowing. So at some point, especially in the spiritual, for lack of a better word, spiritual growth, which really is the wrong word, because growth seems to imply that you are getting bigger. But the spiritual is really a shrinkage of the ego, but nobody would like that term, spiritual shrinkage. Spirit diminishment. And strangely, somehow the dimension of the self, the me, that is problematic always, as you become more aware of yourself as the underlying timeless awareness, the dimension of the me loses some of its otherwise overwhelming sense of importance. My problem, my life, my problems, my life. So incredibly important if you haven't discovered anything beyond the personal level within yourself, and anything that comes into this field of consciousness of the me or the unconsciousness is very important, and the slightest thing can upset you on that level. And basically you're in a state of fear, even if you don't know it. You go through this world as this little entity. What's the next thing that's going to threaten me? Although the outward appearance may be very confident, and the stronger the outward appearance of confidence is, the more scared there's a little thing behind that. Also outwardly you have, I am the master of the universe, I have mastered my life. And then on the back, the unconsciousness, there's a little, oh. So that level loses some of its overriding importance. It's still acknowledged and honored, but it's not that important anymore. I found at some point, and still happens occasionally, people offer me sessions, psychic sessions. Psychic said, do you want to know what's in store for you? Don't you want to know what's going to happen in your future? And so I can tell you, I can give you a session. I'm a great psychic. And there's a place for that. But I find I'm just not interested. I have so little interest, I don't want to sit for an hour listening to what's going to happen to me. It's boring. Know thyself. So that we have the one level is recognizing your patterns, and that can take you into the deeper level. It can also keep you trapped on that level, depending how it's approached. But all of you here are sufficiently free of inner blockages and unconsciousness to have come here. Because if you were completely blocked and had no access to the deeper levels within yourself, you wouldn't have made it here. Unless your spouse absolutely dragged you here. And if that's the case, either you will have some huge realization or even a small glimpse, which is better than nothing, while you're here, or you will sit in absolute agony here. Please let me get out of here. And you may feel your body twitching in its attempt to remove itself. And if I'm speaking to one or two of you here, then I'd suggest that even you could just become comfortable with the present moment. What? Comfortable with the present moment? Just accept that you're here and you're trying to get out of here and the body is twitching, and be totally okay with that. Just try it. It might work. Be totally okay with whatever is going on right now. Okay? So you mean it's okay to be restless and nervous and anxious and irritated and impatient? Yeah. There's nothing wrong with it. Oh, okay. It might work. Know thyself, and then the deeper level of knowing yourself is where you are all at. You have come through all the more superficial level. You have to some extent become aware of your own patterns, and to some extent gone beyond, although occasionally you still get taken over by your patterns into unconsciousness. That's fine. But you're sufficiently free to be here. This means you're able to go to the next level, and many of you already are in deep connectedness with that. And there, in order to really go there, you have to relinquish your need or your desire to understand yourself or to work something out. And so that's and that's to the ego that is very threatening, because the egoic sense of self consists of mind activity, and it thinks all solution to the problem of me. That's how many people perceive themselves. The problem of me. I am a problem that needs to be solved. That is what underlies many people's sense of identity.
I am the problem.
And even that already implies relative consciousness, relatively more consciousness than the majority of humans on the planet who do not perceive themselves as a problem to be solved. That's still unconscious. But you're moving towards consciousness if you recognize that there's something in you. The majority of the population on the planet still don't believe even that. They believe all the problems are out there. It's all them, not me or not us. Whether the ego is a predominantly collective sense of identity or predominantly personalized sense of identity, it's there. Or the problem is never in me, in us. We are totally right. I am totally right. They are totally wrong. He is totally wrong. So that is the complete unconsciousness that humans have been in for thousands of years, even with a few exceptions. So we have fundamental unconsciousness is that, and then everything gets projected outwardly. You experience all your own unconsciousness as a reflection in external events and people. And it's not nice. It's unpleasant, and it's suffering, as the Buddha would say. Dukkha. It's misery. But you don't even know it's misery. You think it's a great thing to be angry at others. Your body doesn't like it, but the ego likes it. So we have those who are still totally removed from knowing themselves, totally trapped in illusion, but they wake up eventually through suffering, which they inflict on others and by implication on themselves. And then we have those who already look at themselves and say, okay, there's something in me that's not quite right. And that's a good stage to reach. And then you begin to look at blockages and so on, either through therapy or do it to yourself. And then reach the next stage, which is you let go of the need to understand even more about yourself. In other words, quite simply, you are ready to go into stillness, the pure awareness, which is the essence of who you are, and which you then leave the level of knowing and you go into the unknowing. There was even a work in Christian mysticism in the Middle Ages, written by an anonymous author in England, Middle Ages, and the work is entitled The Cloud of Unknowing. And basically, he says you cannot know God. Doesn't say you cannot know yourself, except through relinquishing the need to understand or to know. And of course, you can only, God is the word that I usually avoid for obvious reasons. Thousands of years of misunderstanding. So having the courage to go into that deeper dimension, merging with it, which is just the awareness itself, and then knowing yourself as this unknowable presence that is there, which has no quality to it as such. You can't, it's not young or old, or it's not knowledgeable, or lack of knowledge, or even male or female. None of these distinctions apply anymore. What's left of you then is, when that falls away, consciousness. And even that's just a word for the time being, consciousness. The light of consciousness, I call it sometimes, which cannot become an object to itself. You can never say, there's consciousness, my consciousness, I got it now. That's why science has avoided until now to even talk about consciousness. And many scientists even say it's an illusion created by the chemical soup in the brain. The chemistry of the brain is undergoing an illusion. Oh, really? Yeah, that's how it is. I'm telling you, I'm the expert. I'm the expert, the brain expert. And then you ask the brain expert, so what is a thought? Well, certain chemicals floating around. Okay. He's giving you words that mean virtually nothing, because basically nobody knows what a thought is. Even the neurologists. There are certain correlations, there are certain things that correlate with certain thoughts. There is certainly a correlation between consciousness and the physical brain. But can the physical brain explain consciousness? Is consciousness a byproduct of the physical brain? Or is consciousness something that is beyond the physical brain but can express itself through it, like a radio that is receiving signals, and then it plays the music? You can destroy the radio, but you haven't destroyed the music, except the music is then not audible anymore through this particular radio. Consciousness, you cannot understand. Everything becomes an object of consciousness, but consciousness doesn't become an object to itself. It's the eternal subject, the eternal I, the very foundation for all knowing and for all knowledge and for every sense of identity. Identity normally is made up of memories and thoughts, basically. Memories are thoughts. Identity is made up of thought on the normal level, accompanied by emotions, a little bundle of thoughts, accompanied by a bundle of emotions that occur repetitively, and that becomes me. That's consciousness has taken on form. The wave on the ocean, the ripple. My name is, and before you know it, it's gone. That was my name. It's on my gravestone. You can read it.
Read.
What does it say on the gravestone of the big ego?
Yeah.
The big ego's gravestone says, if you're reading this, I got here before you, so I won. What did Jesus say about the kingdom of heaven? He says, you can't say, oh, look, it's here, and you can't say, oh, look, it's over there, because it's within you. You can't. So what does that mean? It means consciousness cannot become an object to itself. It's never. That's why scientists can't examine it and even deny its existence. Although in the very denying of existence, they are affirming that consciousness exists. There is no consciousness. Who's talking? I mentioned a little earlier that everything is happening inside of you, or at least is suggesting that you might dwell on this. Everything is happening inside of you right now. So you can doubt that this is absolutely real, that these people here and this man on the chair, you can doubt whether this is not a kind of dream that you are having. If it's all inside of you, it is a kind of dream, one could say. So you can doubt that this so-called external existence has an absolute reality, and that's a good doubt, because it is doubtful. You can doubt that this external existence has an absolute reality. It could have a kind of reality the same way that a dream has a certain reality, but not this absolute reality of maybe that's the solidity of this table, maybe a dream. Of course it is, but your own existence as this entity with a certain past and a little bit of future, a little bit of past and a little bit of future. It's always just a little. On a universal scale, temporal scale, is very little. It's the flash of light. Each entity, each human being, a little flash of light on the surface of this globe, and its lifespan is very short, despite the fact that you try to give it some kind of permanence by attaching a name to this spark and say, my name is John so-and-so, okay, I'm gone. So it's a little spark that appears briefly. That was it? Yes. But in order to get a sense of who or what you are, if you visualize the globe, these are analogies, and they're always a little bit limiting, but they can be helpful for a moment. Visualize the globe. That globe is the inside of that globe is a source of eternal light. The inside of the globe continuously emits light eternally. And then on the surface of the globe, there are tiny pinpoint little holes. And they appear, and then they close again. They open up and close, open up and close. And every little hole that lets through which the light shines, that is at the center, is a little person or another life form. But let's just keep to persons. So that's another way of looking at it. The light of consciousness is eternal, and it expresses itself through these little openings into this dimension. And every human is an opening into this dimension. And for a moment, it believes that the light that it expresses is some separate phenomenon from all the other lights that appear all around, the little me's that go, oh me. Not realizing, because you haven't gone deep enough beyond the surface, not realizing I am an expression of that one consciousness, that one light, just as every being is an expression of a temporary expression of that. The one emanating and expressing itself as the universe in countless forms, not just human forms. And that's the meaning of what Alan Watts said, I just quoted. You are what the whole universe is doing, in the same way that a wave is something that the whole ocean is doing. But the thing is, when he says the whole universe doesn't mean all the countless things that are in the universe or appear or manifested in the universe. Those countless things are not doing it. So when he talks about the universe, he's not talking about the multiplicity of life forms that manifest as the totality of the universe, which is the galaxies, billions of galaxies, every galaxy consists of billions of suns and stars, the unbelievable multiplicity of the universe. But he's not saying that the multiplicity of the universe is doing this. When he says the universe, he's talking about, I don't know if he explained it or not, I don't think he did, but the implication is the universe, there is more to the universe than meets the eye, which is whatever you can observe, as there is more to you than meets the eye. So what the universe is doing, he's talking about the source that gives rise to the universe. That is the one central. Every word is deficient, but you have to make allowances for deficiency of words. The one that underlies the many, the one consciousness, the one light. That you are an expression of that one light, and you can sense, and this is the deeper level of knowing yourself, you can sense the consciousness that you are. And that's the light of consciousness. That is not God as such. Oh, I wasn't going to use that word, but it just come out. I have to wipe my nose, not my mouth. I've mentioned the word God, must do that again. Because, of course, the word has been reduced to an idol, I-D-O-L, an idol, a mental concept, and has been incorporated into the egoic sense of self, has been misused by the unconsciousness that is the ego, and been incorporated into that, and then made into a religion. Although the one redeeming factor about religions is at the core, there's usually a deeper truth. But the ego can't see that. The ego misuses religion and makes it into a mental concept, an idol, mental idol. It might as well be something else. It could be political idea, as has been done in certain political systems, one overriding idea in the head that then contaminates everybody else, like a mental virus of this. We must eliminate those who prevent this idea from coming into full fruition. Therefore, we must kill 50% of our population because they are obstacles to this thing that we believe in. This, for example, happened in Cambodia 30 years ago. We visited Cambodia last year, and it got taken over by an ideology, not a religion. An ideology, but it's basically a religion. One central idea that all people who are educated are evil because they are preventing the real people, the peasants, from flowering. Therefore, we must eradicate all people who have any kind of education, wear glasses, or their hands show they're not working with their hands, okay, kill them. You need glasses, you're educated, kill. 50% of the population of Cambodia was killed by the political leaders of the system, that the mental virus that took them over. Just one little example of madness, of egoic unconsciousness. So God can also become that, although this is why I avoid the word. So the universe, multiplicity of the universe that is everywhere, the universe obviously delights in creating multiplicity of life forms on this planet. And there seems to be a movement towards growing complexity, because if you look at the history of this planet alone, a billion years ago, there was not as much complexity of life forms as there is now. There's growing differentiation, and the more evolved life forms like humans, each human is slightly different. Isn't that amazing? Of these billions of humans on this planet, there's no one quite like you. And no one will ever be quite like you or me. Although many patterns that operate in humans are very similar, and yet there's something unique to every human. No, in the entire history of the universe, there's never been anybody like you. And never will be. I don't know if you could say the same thing about a mosquito. Maybe the mosquito thinks so, if it could think. Or a rudimentary life form, a bacteria, or even a bird. If you go to a little bit more conscious life, a little bit more, because consciousness is the same, the one consciousness evolves, and then it produces more complex life forms. If you look at a dog, if you've lived with a dog, you may find already the dog exhibits certain traits that are unique for this particular dog, although there are many, many common traits that dogs have. If you've lived with a dog for some years, or the whole lifetime of the dog, you realize even the dog has been, this dog is not, never, it is unique, not as unique as humans, but it has more of an individuality to it than other life forms like mosquitoes. There's already something unique and unrepeatable about this dog. And so differentiation happens. This is what the universe goes out there and creates. It delights in creativity. Yeah. And humans can become a secondary form through which the universe creates. A human can create many things. But when a human creates, what is the consciousness behind the creation? The one consciousness, not the not the egoic sense of separate identity, which is an illusion, but the one consciousness. So there have been some great creations, great works of art, great works of music, great works of literature, great insights in science, in philosophy, great, all these, the works of, or even technology. Some technology is quite miraculous. So it's but who is creating? It's the universe can create not only directly, can create through humans too. As long as you know that it's not you doing it, then you have access to a deeper dimension. If you think you are doing it, you're trapped on the surface level. All great creators had access in the moment of creation, perhaps not in the rest of their lives, but in the moment of creation, they were able to go deep enough to access the source of all knowledge, which is the unconditioned consciousness. So they went, whatever it was, even in technology, the great breakthroughs often came in, become alert, still, and go, So here you have the problem, what are we going to do here? And you can't solve it, you think and think and think, you can't solve it for thinking, and then you go, become still and go. That means you're going deeper. And that's the Om can take you there. And suddenly you know nothing there. You know nothing.
That's right.
But there's a depth to it.
Become awareness.
There's a stillness there, but it's primordial intelligence too. And then the mind starts up again at some moment, and then now I know what to do. Or beyond words, the creative act happens, whatever form it takes. The composer hears the music as if it were already ready-made and just writes it down. Or many great, very creative composers have said it was like receiving something. They were able to go deep enough. The greatest creations of Beethoven came when he couldn't even hear anymore. And so he couldn't hear his own music, so he had to go very deep inside, and then it came. You're going towards the source of life, and that is the universe that we refer to when we say that you are something that the whole universe is doing. Doesn't mean all the galaxies are doing something in pretending to be you or whatever. No, the whole universe refers to the oneness that underlies the universe. That is the only doer. There are no other doers than the oneness that underlies the universe. So that is knowing yourself as that frees you from being trapped on that surface level of reality, so-called reality, that is the person, and that is the mental realm and the emotional realm. You have to have the courage to relinquish your need to understand.
Courage, yes.
Right, we can do that here, and embrace this beautiful state of cessation of thinking, which is not stupidity, it's the opposite. The egoic mind will tell you, I will become stupid if I don't continuously interpret all my sense perceptions. I won't know what's going on anymore.
It's a big school.
So it has the need to continuously interpret sense perceptions. So whenever you meet somebody, you see something, it is judged, it is interpreted, it is called something, this, that, okay, now I know. And it's all done through the conditioning of your mind, the way a certain phenomenon or a certain person, the way it's interpreted, depends on the conditioning of your mind, which could be collective conditioning, cultural conditioning, personal conditioning. You interpret in a certain way. But there is a place for that. In certain areas of your life, you need that. But if you want to go deeper, you have to relinquish that so that you are not trapped compulsively in the need to continuously interpret everything, because all you would be doing is externalizing your conditioning and look at the whole universe through the veil of your conditioning. And that is the essence of unconsciousness. So the two dimensions, the ability to use interpretations without being trapped in your interpretations, without deriving a sense of identity from your interpretations, which is conceptual mind working. So be able to use the conceptual mind without being used by the conceptual mind. In order to do that, you have to also in your life embrace the deeper dimension where you relinquish the need to understand, not only when you sit in meditation, not only when you're here listening to me, then it's easier to do in this energy field, to go into the stillness of where the mind is not operating anymore, and you're just conscious, just alert, present, still, and it's beautiful, and you go deep in that. And even here, there may be one or two egos in the room. I'm not going to go there. And if there's somebody who's going to write about this retreat, an ego who was sent here by a bigger ego called the editor of the magazine, or whatever it is, Time magazine. Timeless magazine would be better, but this is Time. And then the article would then say he's teaching, he's hypnotizing people, and he is so that they become stupid and don't realize that what he's talking about is mumbo jumbo. The ego's interpretation of our retreat. So not only in meditation, but also in your daily life, many times you're not only a more peaceful human being, you're also a more effective human being in whatever you're doing in this world. In many cases, when you can bring into your daily life these spaces, when you're not interpreting or judging, when you're just being able to look, and I use look in an almost metaphorical sense. Sometimes it may involve visual perception, but to look in a deeper sense, which means to just give attention to something, and can sense that the attention that you give to something flows from deep within you as awareness. And then you look or you listen, or there is a situation that requires action. And before you take action, unless it's an emergency, in which case it just happens, you look at the situation, or a problem needs to be solved, whatever, and you face it and you go, That means there's a powerful sense of peace underlying you, and it's very different from the usual way of unconsciousness. When you're faced with a challenge, you go reactive, either fear or aggression or anger. It's a state of disconnectedness from who you are, essentially. So bring into your daily life these moments of clear looking, in which you're not only aware of whatever it is you're looking at or giving attention to. It might be listening, it might be just considering the totality of a certain problem there. You're not only in that moment when you're not using your conceptual mind, which has its place, but it needs to be balanced with not using your conceptual mind and going to the deeper level out of, which is not separate from your conceptual mind in the same way that the ocean is not separate from the little ripple on the surface of the ocean. So you go deeper, and then you look, and in that you are aware not only of whatever it is you are giving your attention to, but you can sense that the flow of attention comes from a deeper place within you. The stillness that comes from, it has no physical location. I'm pointing to here, but it's not really, it has no, it comes from another dimension. It's not from this, that's something from that transcendent dimension comes through you into this world, into this dimension. The timeless one consciousness. But to have to access to it, you need to become still for a moment and relinquish your need to know conceptually, relinquish your need to understand, to interpret, to adopt some kind of position towards everything that's going on around you. How do I say? And then you become empowered, not as a person. You become empowered because you express the one only power there is, which is consciousness, the one, appearing as the many. So becoming comfortable, and this is why we're here, to go into that more deeply, becoming comfortable with not knowing for certain periods in your life, even in your daily life. This is an ideal place. Become comfortable with not interpreting another human being that you meet, but just be there as an aware presence and look at that other human being and listen to that other human being and let him or her be the way he or she is without adopting some kind of position towards him. And there is a deep knowing in that, but you can know the other person at a deep level even without knowing anything about them. You can have a deep connection with another human being, even if you meet them for 5 minutes. You can have a deep connection without having to ask them, what do you do for a living? Are you married? And all these other things. What are your favorite movies? I want to know more about you. You can know another human being, feel a deep connectedness without knowing anything about them, their name. And that is a wonderful thing. Later, if you continue to interact with that human, of course, at some point you may ask some questions. But it may well be that you only have a meeting for a minute or two. And in that brief meeting, you can have a deep connection, which often happens to me with people I see casually in a shop, in a restaurant, the waiter, whatever. There's a moment of connection, a moment of no interpretation. I'm often at a loss to say when people ask me, what did you think of that person that you met yesterday? What did you think of him? Nothing. And sometimes if an answer is demanded, then I can't start thinking at that point and say, well, but it's difficult. It's difficult to actually say anything about another human being. It's not very limiting, because usually whatever judgment you have towards another human being will refer to their conditioning. And no judgment can ever touch the deeper level of that human being. Or, well, you could say, oh, you're a very peaceful human being, and that means perhaps that certainly means that this human being is connected to the deeper level, and then you feel many people like me, even they might not even know that I'm an author or spiritual teacher, and they say, oh, what a nice man. And why? Not because as a person I have these great qualities that make me a nice person. It's because the person is relatively insignificant and they are not being judged. And they can feel somehow that they are not being judged, and then they feel, oh, what a nice man. They don't even know that they're not being judged. They only perceive it as an outflow of goodwill, and they can sense that. But this outflow of goodwill, which could also be called benevolence, which could also be called loving kindness, which could also be called love in the higher sense of agape, that is inseparable from this deep connectedness with the realm that is not conceptual, that where you don't even try to understand another human being or a situation. You give up your desire to know. You are ready to go into the unknowing. And the paradox is, out of the unknowing, a deep knowing arises that is non-conceptual. So we are here to practice that, to access that in this environment, which is conducive to it, because many human beings are here. There's an energy field that is generated by the one consciousness, breaking through the limiting layers of personalities and coming up. And this is why, as I mentioned last night, you may find an affinity with other people that you meet here, a certain connectedness that transcends cultural boundaries. You may find, if you are from India, and then you may meet somebody from England or whatever, you may find that it's easier to connect with somebody here who maybe from a totally different culture than to connect with somebody from your own culture who is still totally trapped on the level of conditioning, personal and collective conditioning. So a beautiful thing is arising here, a connection between human beings that has nothing to do with whatever the conditioning of their cultural conditioning is. And this is where humanity is moving. Humanity is moving in that direction of where humans can sense their oneness with the other, transcending the ideas that they have in their head about themselves or the other, something that transcends the mental realm, the realm of thoughts and concepts. A beautiful thing. So the essence of what I'm talking about is having the courage to go into the space of not knowing, which is the momentary cessation of thought, where all that's left of you is awareness. And perception then happens against the background of awareness, which is you, which is consciousness, which is the light of the one that's shining, that's here, so to speak. It's not physical, but just it's in the, or it comes from the inside. The analogy I used earlier, the globe, the central light at the center of the globe, and the little holes on the surface, that's you. And when the light, the little pinpoint of light, that is the person in this analogy on the surface of the globe, becomes aware not only of the other things that are happening on the surface, which are all manifestation of the underlying one, but also directs his or her attention to where it's coming from, to the light itself, not just what the light sees, but its own nature as the light. And then that means that its attention moves back to the source. And then the one knows itself through the many. So and that's a beautiful process. So the universe, the one, has brought us here because it's important for the universe, the one that underlies the universe, to experience this. So it transcends this gathering, seems to be a gathering of persons, but it far transcends the personal realm. And when the human lives in connectedness with that dimension of awareness, in which seemingly you don't know anymore, and yet it is primordial intelligence, only from there can you recognize the other as yourself. And because the essence of the other is the same light of consciousness, despite whatever the personality may be saying to you, or whatever the conditioned person may be manifesting, that's the surface layer. And then you're no longer deceived by the surface layer. You can allow it to be without believing that that's all there is to that human being. Their conditioning, their person. That's never the truth. So whatever judgment you have about a person will only be about the surface layer. It does not touch the essence of that human being. So when you then connectedness with the one manifests as a flow of goodwill towards the other, the so-called other. And that's why this shift in consciousness changes relationships between humans.
Beautiful.
It's the only true change when you're no longer primarily a judge of others. You are primarily, you embody the recognition of the other as just a different manifestation of yourself. And that's love, loving kindness. That is sensed or experienced as an outflow of benevolence or goodwill, essential benevolence or goodwill towards another. And the other is affected by it,
yes,
even though he or she may not yet be able to sense that within themselves. At least they will be touched by it. And sometimes it can trigger a change in the other too. And in that moment, your function in that moment, you become a spiritual teacher,
yes,
even without saying anything.
yes.
You don't necessarily have to speak. You just have to embody a particular state of consciousness, and then you come into contact with others. And the moment you are present, aware of that dimension in yourself, as yourself, and then you have contact with another human being, you are, the Course in Miracles calls it a teacher of God. It uses that word a lot.
Yes.
You become a spiritual teacher because this deeper consciousness manifests through you, and it affects others. It's a wonderful process. So now we know why we're here, in case you didn't know. as much as possible in your daily life here, whether you're out in nature or listening to the rain. One of my favorite sounds, so still and calming, listening to the rain. Wow, so beautiful. Silence is even better. Listen to the silence, listen to other sounds, whatever it is. Bring in these moments of aware presence, the non-judgmental, non-conceptualizing moments. So there's a shift. As much as possible, be here as the awareness rather than as the person. Of course, the person is not going to just go away, it'll still be there, but let the awareness shine through the person. And then even somebody asks you where you come from, what do you do, it's fine. And you can say, or you can ask the question to others, where are you from? Why not ask that question? But you can also sense a depth within yourself and recognize the same depth in the other.
Yes. Yes. Is it? So beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's start again, because in the beginning,
The silence is something deeper than auditory. The auditory is only the first entry point. The auditory
it's for us all.
dimension, sensory perception. Silence is usually related to the auditory perception, to hearing.
I love us.
But that's not really what we're talking about. The silence that is here, there's more to it than the absence of noise. And it's not out there, it's all in here, or rather, within and without a single thing. As the Course in Miracles says somewhere, there is nothing outside of you.
Listen to this.
This entire experience of this gathering, this room, the people in this room, obviously, it's all happening inside of you.
No spoon. No spoon. So who you blame?
Don't start to think about that.
Today, don't start to think about it.
Is this right? It can't be right. We could say, oh, yes, the universe, everything, you know it is known inside of you. When you look at the stars in the middle of the night, or the starry sky, you experience it inside of you. Every human being you encounter, you experience it inside of you. You don't even know if there's anything out there.
I know, this is why I love you all. I know.
You don't even know whether an out there even exists. It could be a delusion that there's something out there. Maybe there is no out to the universe. Maybe there is no out to you. Maybe it's all in. I say maybe just to not to lose some of you by making statements that seem too much out there. So these are little pointers for you to consider, not so much consider by starting to think about it, but just saying, really what it means in your own experience, is it true? Because otherwise, I'll give you some mental stuff and say, you must believe me, or you better believe it, or you feel better if you believe it. I would suggest, but only you can know it, that it is obvious that everything is experienced within you, and that we can assume that there is such a thing as an external universe, but we may be wrong. We could also consider the possibility that there's no such thing as external, and that everything happens within the consciousness that you are, a play of consciousness. Everything. A little bit like a much infinitely more complex phenomenon than a movie in a cinema. So a movie would be a distant analogy to what's going on, something infinitely more complex. The universe is experiencing through countless seemingly separate, autonomous, and independent entities or life forms. The universe is experiencing itself.
Us.
It was the spiritual teacher, I believe, Alan Watts, who said once, you are something that the universe is doing in the same way that a wave is something that the whole ocean is doing. You are something that the whole universe is doing in the same way that a wave is something that the whole ocean is doing. Oh. So I'm actually the universe doing something. Oh, that's interesting. But if it just stays up there, then it doesn't take you anywhere. But if you use it as a pointer to point you deeper within yourself, and to be able to do that, your mind needs to become still for a moment. So we come back to the stillness. Your mind needs to become still for a moment. And as it becomes still, and as you know it becomes still the moment you listen to the silence that seems to be out there, but is really inside you, right now, the mind becomes still. Because you're listening to the silence. So the entry point is the auditory dimension. In this particular case, we use it as a doorway into a deeper dimension. It's the stillness that we're talking about. When you say stillness, I'm not referring to something deeper than the absence of noise that is seemingly out there. So the stillness, the mind becomes still, no? And in that stillness, you can sense there is an unknown and in a way unknowable dimension to who you are. a depth to who you are, but you can't know anything about it, or that is the source of all knowing in itself. It's nothing to do with any kind of conceptual knowing. Know thyself, the famous dictum that comes from ancient Greece. Know thyself as the most important teaching, the most important thing for a human being to realize is to know yourself. But that is often misunderstood. It has two dimensions. Normally, when people talk about knowing yourself, they're only talking about the superficial dimension of knowing yourself, which is becoming aware of your own patterns, your reactive patterns, your thoughts, your emotions. And as you may have noticed, it's easier to recognize the unconscious patterns in somebody other than you than in you. When a person becomes identified with the pain body, becomes reactive, it's easy to say, oh yeah, you can, even in your partner, you can sometimes say, oh, he or she is becoming completely unconscious again. And there's not much you can do except stay present within yourself, because if you accuse an unconscious person of being unconscious, it's not going to work. Because something will speak back to you or at you, and it won't be nice. And say, me unconscious? Look at yourself. And then you get a whole long story about you. You cannot win an argument with an ego, or if you're about to win, as a last resort, the ego will physically attack you, and you still can't win. You get knocked over the head. Know yourself, know thyself, self-knowledge, being aware of the conditioning of your mind, being aware of your pain body, being aware of the habitual thought patterns that you think is you, but when you're aware of it, you begin to know it. It's one important level of knowing yourself is to recognizing your conditioning. In the moment it happens, that would be best. Initially, perhaps retrospectively, after you've just gone through some kind of ego upset, and you suddenly went, oh, what was that? That was the ego, that was my pain body again, okay. But if you can know yourself in the middle of it, that's even better. That's one dimension of knowing yourself, is also the dimension that is explored in psychotherapy and psychoanalysis and so on, when you start looking within and see, what do you feel right now? What are your thoughts right now? Or when this happened, what did you feel? And so you become more conscious. It's a wonderful thing. Psychotherapy is extremely helpful. There is, however, a deeper level to knowing yourself. But whether we even want to call it knowing yourself is debatable, because you have to go deeper within yourself where you can sense the underlying consciousness that's behind it all and in it all.
Good to see you.
And then you cannot break it down into bits of knowledge. It's almost as if you were then going into that which is unknown and unknowable through any kind of concept. So you'd have to...
Isa, I need you. I need you. what is going on with everybody. You must listen to this. Everybody shut each other. You know, you need to do a song about this. Bang, bang, I shut you down, bang, bang. I shut you back, bang, bang. We shut us down. You know, everybody shooting each other, and we are down. We are down, and we need each other, and we depend on each other. Because when you go live, look what's happened. Look what's happened when you go live. You see, I want everybody listen to this video and wake up. Wake up. We all do mistake. We all stupid sometimes. I don't want to see anymore people shooting each other, you know, and blame each other. It's within yourself. So you are the problem. Look what you can do to fix it. That's it. Everyone should do this. Fix himself only, because everything is within. No spoon. You're dealing with yourself here. So what is it? Shooting everybody around, and we're losing each other. We are the best when we are together. When we go live, when you go live, I watch you years. I know you all. I know you all. I love you all. Don't blame each other, please. We need each other. Otherwise, we stay with nothing. Absolutely dead. Music. So much incredible musician create music. Music bring us together. Find me something more important than this. No blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 it's fire. It's fire. Every one of you, great musician. And where's the music? Where's the music? Find me something more important than bring us together. Find me. What is it shooting each other? Please, don't go to this deception. Please, wake up. Wake up and bring us together back. I don't care what this said or what they said. It's within us. Everyone should watch himself now. This is the time, okay? Enough with this Babylon language. Please, wake up, all of you. I love us so much. Everyone who go live, Antonio, whatever, whatever. When we've got this opportunity to bring us, hey, hi, Isa, hi, this, hi, we are together. It's great feeling. Even through this computer, I can feel the energy. I can feel the vibration. You see, we're talking about Taurus field. We're talking about this creation that we are one. This is nature law. This is this creation. This is one. One. We must be one together. Together. So wake up and grow up. Grow up. Grow up. No hard feeling. It's not personal. It's, you know, it's everything is within. Everything, all this information outside, everything is within. This is why it's so important to listen to this video. My English not rich enough. And I can't find something more important than this. Bring us together in the micro. This is the micro of the macro of all the creation. It starts with us right now. Right now. Enough blame each other and make, you know, this is silly, this is not useful, and we must grow up. And music is great way to bring us together. We all alone here. So we must be alone together as one. And music is great way because it's no ego there. No ego. So peace. All of us, all the channel, everybody. Start create music. Start create good vibration. And listen to this video, it's so important, so important. There is nothing more important right now than this. Understand that everything is within. Why arguing? Why shooting each other? Why? We all one. All this information outside is within yourself. You are able to change it. Not by destroying and shooting each other. No, it's not the way. Never mind what is their mistake. The ego to the garbage, the ego. It's against this nature law. I am right, you're wrong, you are this, it's when you understand really, when you listen to this video, to this word, you realize there is no spoon. I'm dealing with myself and all this information. You must understand that I am you. You are me. We are one. Like ocean. You are not private wave in this ocean. You are part of this ocean. Yeah, I listen to all of it, all what is going on lately in all the channels, all of us, what is going on. So I like to see you brave and react from your heart, react from your heart. This is what you need to do. No ego there, no ego. Bring us together as a magnet, as positive magnet, together. You see, all this deception, realize to separate us, to like you take a cup and you broke and all the pieces all over, bring ourselves back together. Bring ourselves back together. And music is a great way to do it. So we all silly. Let's end with this, that we all silly, dumb, stupid, and reacting from the ego, from, you see, no spoon. And agreeing, and please, silence. Last week, the last 2 weeks, silence. We can't, nobody go live. We are not together. Isa, you play music 20 minutes and you go on. Why? Until this media is, live and everybody know it's taken up, it's take half an hour. You see? Let's bring us together, all of us. You can think different from me. You can be a globe, that's okay. You can believe in, you see what I mean? It's within us, everything. So love, we must react and be example and be brave, because to love, yeah, you need to be brave. No ego there. So please, let's love ourselves back. Really. No hard feeling, it's not personal. Nobody know who is who. Nobody know who is what, you know, please wake up. Get over about this ego, flesh ego, and start really understand that everything is within. I am the problem. I am the problem. There is no problem outside. It's me. It's me. You see? And fix it. And fix it. And you can find something more important when we are together. Even, you know, for 1 hour, 2 hours, we are together, say hi to each other. This is copper cup, incredible. So it's great feeling. I don't know. It's great feeling. I love copper. I love this materialism. Copper, it's, you see, I play with the copper. I have many kilo copper. I love this. I play with this, with the magnet too. Yeah. There is no other alchemy. It's to be river. You can't stop the river. You need to be like water. Remember? Be water, my friends. You see the meaning? Be water, my friends. So please, sisters, brothers, I don't care, really, I don't care. You know, when I travel in YouTube and I see all these transgender, remember, we all been lied. We all been lied here. All of us. They hide from us this knowledge that everything is within. They suck us out of ourselves to the drama, deep to the drama. You see? So now it's time to grow up and realize that everything is within. Mother Nature too. Everything is within. Sky is mirror. Reflect us. Reflect Mother Nature. Reflect hollow art. We are hollow, Mother Nature hollow. So the way I see it when I watch sun and moon, the way I see it through Nikon P900 and Nikon P1000, and the way I see it and I learn sun and moon, Solomon, Mother Nature is Solomon. Everything is within, out and back to us. So please wake up. You see, Mother Nature is sun, moon, 316 round and flat, yes. In our face, the map, Luna, is our map, Mother Nature map, Mother Nature face. In our face, mirror, mirror, who is the most beautiful in the world? You see your face in the water, it's the same as above, so below. Within, out, and back to us, as picture, as information, as vision, as drama. So watch yourself. and change what you don't like. And love is the only solution when you know the truth. Love is the only solution. I'm old person, I'm grandmother, I love you all, I don't blame no one, I don't take personal what's happened between me and you know in you know many story and this is nonsense. This is nonsense. I love us. Nothing can change this. I love us with all these faces, with all this, yeah, all of it. The drug, the hawker, the all of it. It's me. I am everything. I am all of it. You can't look somebody like this because you see yourself there. You see yourself there. And to know yourself, to learn about yourself, you need to listen to this person. Because through his talking, through his word, you're going to learn about yourself. This is mirror. You don't like it? This is mirror. Change yourself. I am all of it. When I see homeless, I can sit with him, eat sandwich, no matter what I'm him. I know it. Wow. Oh, wow. It's big school now. It's big school. Please, let's bring ourselves together. Let's bring ourselves together. Let's be brave and get over about this ego who destroyed everything. I'm learning. I wish to play for you music hours, but I'm learning right now. I can't find something more important than this. Nothing. You put your head, you create music, you put your head, you can give me how much you want. Just play music. Just play music. This is true. This is love. Yeah, it's new, so it's still very, I need to play more with this. Lovely. I've got my metronome in my head. I'm crazy about music, and I see so much incredible musician around me. It's a shame. Instead, play music, blah 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 blah. blah. Fire, explode. Not good. And we miss each other. Isa, you go and make peace and create music, and everybody will come and we speak about this. Okay, let's make peace. bring us together. I start like this to practice my hands. Yeah, I need to practice. Yeah, let's see who's gonna get over about this ego and and understand really and grow up and understand that everything is within. You have problem outside, fix it in yourself. And think that you are the problem because you're dealing with yourself and this movie, this CD life. I don't have bad feeling, bad memories, and stuff like this in myself. No, 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 no. No. No, I want to be free. Free myself from this. You see? No karma, no bad karma, no drama. Yeah. So yeah, let's bring ourselves together. I love us very much. Very much. Yeah, what can I say more? What can I say more? Yes, I am in Israel. Why you call me like this? Do you know me, Jack? Let's talk about this, please. Okay? Be brave and grow up. Do you know me? No. Why you say this? Why? Because you are part of this group who decide to be negative. This is your trendy way. You see? You can be my brother. But no, you choose to react like this. So you didn't listen to 0 word of this video. You should listen. I give you the name of the channel. Please listen. Please, for yourself. Listen to this video, okay? You must. If you speak like this, you are in trouble. Because this is you. It's within you. Nothing to do with me. You see, Jack? This is how it's work. Yeah. Easy to destroy it. But to bring this together and fix what you destroyed, you need to be brave. So you see, you give me now a good example for what I'm talking about. And so what? Let's say that I am 20. Let's say that I am 20. So what? It's a reason for you to hate me? Because hate, it's come from your soul, from inside of you. It's hate yourself. You hate yourself. You don't need so much reason to hate other people. You see, when you love yourself and you know the truth, you don't speak like this. You don't react like this. So what? So let's say that you are going to the bus. You sit now in the bus or in the train. You take a train, and guess what? There is a train, he come to sit next to you. What you are going to do? Shake him? What you are going to do? It exists, yeah, you know, training. Maybe I am. So what you are going to do? It's within yourself, Jack. Wake up, okay? No hard feeling, okay? No hard feeling. So take the good from my video, yeah, and I leave you with the secret that you don't know who I am, okay? I am open book. If you wish to know more about me, I have 5 channels in YouTube. I have group in Facebook. You can travel in my Facebook too. And I'm open book, you know, Instagram. I'm everywhere. Open book. Nothing to hide. I don't do nothing for money. I've got no business with human being. So what the reason? Don't subscribe. End of conversation, Jack. Yeah. This is big school for you now. Live your life intelligently, okay? Yeah, grow up. It doesn't matter if somebody 20 or whatever, doesn't matter. Everything is within yourself, everything. So listen to this video again, maybe you are going to realize something and understand there is no spoon. Yeah. You pay me money, I offer you myself, I offer you, I sell you something, I have, no. What the reason like to you? Ask yourself, what the reason? Yeah, so I'm open book if you like to see more about me and who I am, and if it's interesting you, okay? Yeah. This is why this video so important. I leave you, Jack, with this, yeah, big school for you, big school. You see, this is UFO. This is exactly UFO. You see, so if UFO coming, what you are going to do? Shoot them? This is UFO. We are UFO to each other. You see? You see how you react? We are UFO. We don't need so much, you know. We are UFO to each other, and we need to grow up and understand who we truly we are. Yeah, I love you all. Isa, thank you for visiting me. Namaste. I love you. Go live with music. Let's bring us together. Okay. Yeah. Much love you all. Thank you. See you soon.